In the headlines, NCDC monitoring new COVID-19 subvariant to start testing in 4 states. Bandits abduct All Progressive Congress organizing secretary in Kaduna State. Niger military rulers expel French ambassador, citing actions taken by Paris. And from the foreign scene, at least 13 killed in Madagascar stadium stampede. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. We start with health. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, says it is monitoring the subvariant of the Omicron variant of the SARS-CoV-2 virus named EG.5 and BA.2.86. In a statement on Saturday, the health agency said that its COVID-19 technical working group had been monitoring the emerging variants from local to global level. The agency said preventive actions such as good hand hygiene, testing, vaccination, use of masks remain same as before. The EG.5 subvariants have been reported in 51 countries, including China, the United States of America, the Republic of Korea, Japan, Canada, Australia, Singapore, the United Kingdom, France, Portugal, and Spain. EG.5 causes symptoms like those seen with other variants of COVID-19, including fever, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle aches, headaches, and sore throats. NCDC said the only case of EG.5 which has been seen in Africa has not identified in Nigeria, adding that although BA.2 has been previously found in Nigeria, no BA.2.86 variant has been identified in Nigeria. In security, gunmen have killed the organizing secretary of the All Progressive Congress, the APC, in Kaduna, Kawu Yakasai. He was kidnapped from his village in Soba local government area at about 9 p.m. on Friday. As of press time, the kidnappers were yet to establish any contact with the family of the victim or the Kaduna State APC leadership. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Governor, Obasani, has condemned the abduction of the APC official. The governor, in a short statement through his chief press secretary, Mohammed Shehu, directed security agencies to go after the kidnappers and ensure the safe return of the victim. The governor restated his administration's commitment to the safety of lives and property of all residents in the state, adding that part of the steps taken to achieve security in Kaduna was to employ 7,000 vigilantes to complement the efforts of conventional security agencies. Meanwhile, the man of the Katsina State Police Command has foiled a kidnap attempt by bandits at Ruwanlafia village in the Kankara local government area of Katsina State. After a gun duel with the gunmen, the police assured the 65-year-old kidnapped victim, Hashim Yusuf, recovered 94 cows, 17 sheep, and 2 motorcycles. A distress call was earlier received at the Kankara Divisional Police Headquarters regarding the movement of suspected bandits from Hayangada in Malumfashi local government area of the state. The policemen who responded to the call confronted the armed bandits attempting to flee the area with their victim. The police spokesman in the state, Abubakar Sadiq, in a statement on Saturday, said the officers exhibited exemplary courage and professional skills as they overwhelmingly outmarched the bandits and rescued the victim unharmed. The Bayelsa State Security Council has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew following the recent unrest that has been ravaging the Nembe Basambiri community of Nembe Local Government Council in the past 8 weeks. The decision, according to the state government, is part of efforts to restore peace and security there. Friday Peter has the report.
Governor Doye Duri, who chaired the Emergency Expanded State Security Council meeting with stakeholders and service commanders in Government House, Yenagoa, said the meeting was to find a lasting solution in the crisis rocking Nembe Basambiri. Governor Duri said his administration in the past years has been working with security agencies to maintain peace and tranquility of the state, noting that the incident of 2019 election can be repeated in 2023.
The same Nembe in 2019 was a flashpoint. People were killed just as we have seen people killed. And my people say the snake cannot bite you twice. So we have to nip it in the bud. Nembe of 2023 cannot be Nembe of 2019. We are a government. As Chief Security Officer of Bayelsa State, I will work with you commanders to do everything that we need to do to bring a lasting solution to this Nembe crisis. So that people can go freely to Nembe without fear, without being intimidated, without being terrorized. So that all parties can go to Nembe and campaign according to the Constitution and the electoral law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Briefing journalists shortly after the meeting, Special Advisor to the Governor on Security, Akboibi Agberibi, retired, said the Security Council resolved to impose a dusk-to-dawn curfew in the affected community and also announced the suspension of all activities by chiefs and youth in the community.
And the following resolutions were reached. A dusk-to-dawn curfew from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. has been imposed in Nembe Basambiri. This curfew is to be enforced by all the security agencies in the state. 2. All youth and chieftaincy activities in Nembe Basambiri have been suspended until further notice. It was also resolved that an interim body will be set up by government to manage their affairs until further notice.
Agberibi, retired, also hinted that council wants all those indicted in the Nembe Basambiri crisis in the February attack to be arrested and prosecuted according to the law.
The youth president, under the custody of the Department of State Services, should be further investigated and prosecuted if found wanting. All the youths arrested and handed over to the police should be timeously investigated and prosecuted if found wanting. Mr. Kojo Sam and all those mentioned in the petition by Basambiri community for their involvement in the February 15th killing in Nembe Basambiri should be arrested, investigated, and prosecuted if found wanting. Council also called on the Inspector General of Police to withdraw his SWAT team and allow the existing Joint Security Task Force in Nembe to take charge of the security situation there until further notice.
The council resolved to ensure the security of lives and property of citizens is prioritized at all times. Friday, Ebimobowe Peter, Trust TV News, Yenagoa.
At least 9 persons have been arrested in Nasarawa State for allegedly violating the state's environmental sanitation law. Chief Prosecuting Officer on the violation of environmental situation in the state, Abubakar Mohammed, made this known shortly after the monthly environmental sanitation in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The sanitation exercise is being carried out on the last Saturday of every month to ensure that residents clean their environment and evacuate refuse dumps in different locations across the state. However, the exercise does not come without challenges, especially from those who either refuse to clean up their residence and business premises, as well as those who loiter around while the exercise is ongoing. Addressing journalists on this month's sanitation exercise in the state, Chief Prosecuting Officer on the violation of environmental sanitation law, Abubakar Muhammad, said there is improvement in terms of compliance by residents as the number of violators reduced drastically.
We have only about 9 people. So the rate of the crime reduced drastically. And that makes us to assess. And we went around to see that at least we have identified most of the shops, even 98% of the shops, we are locked down. Movement, we are restricted. Can be a witness. And even some of the trailers that try to witch-hunt one or two of our officers, we are presented before the court, and the court, they will be charged accordingly based on the provision of the law.
He said in order to promote compliance in the state, the government has set up a committee that would ensure that people pick up plastic and similar waste products regularly around them. He further explained that as a result of the prediction by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency that 25 states, including Nasarawa, may likely experience flood, the government has planned to embark on sensitization and open waterways where they are blocked.
His Excellencies graciously gave an approval on sensitization and demolition of those buildings that we have erected at the waterways. And then in the waterfront area or riverfront area, those settlers that are there have been evacuated to a safer place, pending the end of the rainy season.
He said so far, the state has not experienced any natural disaster, adding that the government will sustain the measures already taken to guard against such.
The ruling All Progressive Congress (APC) has finally inaugurated its National Working Committee, the NWC member, amidst the serious protest. The inauguration took place at the party's National Secretariat Friday night in Abuja because of protests that trailed the emergence of the new members. The newly sworn-in members are the Deputy National Chairman North, Ali Bukari Dalori, Garbadetti Muhammad, National Vice Chairman Northwest, Abdul Karim Abubakar Kana, National Legal Advisor, Donatus Nwakpa, National Welfare Secretary, Mary Alile Idele, National Women Leader, and Duro Meseko, Deputy National Publicity Secretary. Recall that the inauguration was earlier slated for Thursday, but Kogi protesters led by Governor Yahaya Bello and others from Cross River State stalled the swearing-in. The President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has approved the appointment of Mojoyin Olua Dekalu Thomas as the new Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, the NELMCO, for a term of 4 years. Prior to her appointment, Dekalu Thomas had served as acting MD and CEO of NELMCO since the tenure of pioneer NELMCO MD CEO Adebayo Fagbemi ended on May 8, 2023. President Tinubu has also approved the appointment of Dimla Joel Ntine to replace Dekalu Thomas as NELMCO Substantive Executive Director, Liability Management. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngalali, says the appointment takes immediate effect. You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, we take a look at the commercial motorcycle riders lament hardship. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. Here is a recap of our top stories. We brought you NCDC monitoring new COVID-19 subvariants to start testing in 4 states. And bandits abduct All Progressive Congress organizing secretary in Kaduna State. And moving on to more stories, issues around family planning are dominating discourse in public fora in Nigeria due to religious, cultural, and socio-economic factors. Trust TV's Bello Musa speaks to clerics in Kaduna and sent in the report.
Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa and 7th in the world. Nigeria's population is expected to overtake United States as 3rd most populous country by 2030. However, population growth without commensurate availability of resources to cater for the people remains a concern. Some are of the view that national planning and equitable distribution of resources must be reflective of population. Some clerics said religious and socio-cultural beliefs are not totally against family planning practice.
When you start an Islamic perspective of family planning is not something new. It's sacrosanct in Islam. It is very vital for every Muslim to plan. And that's why the Prophet of Islam has warned every Muslim about your family. He says one of the strong warning from the Quran is Ku anfusikum wa ahlikum nara. Fear for your own life and the life of your children. Protect your soul and the soul of your children from the danger of calamity, a severe punishment that comes from God if you fail to live by the standard of God.
God is saying you must be able to take care of that children. Even though the Bible first of all says multiply and fill the earth. But in that multiplication, you have to be very wise. You don't give back to children anyhow. But you must be able to feed them. You must be able to train them to go to school. God can give you a wife and children. But you can also know your capability. A man that is a multimillionaire may not think of the school, may not think of food. But for you, who cannot get 1 square meal, and you are giving back anyhow, who takes care of that child? And some other theologians say there's nothing wrong to go for medical advice in the hospital.
I don't talk of family in terms of taking drugs, or women taking drugs, or sterilizing, or stereotyping yourselves, or cutting up your testicles because you don't want to have children. No, because how do you plan the children you have?
Awol Suleiman has 4 wives and 21 living children, and he is not contemplating family planning. He says he is still counting and sustains his family within his income.
Yesterday, one of my wife undergoes surgery, spending more than 100,000 plus. But yet, for those who even came to greet me today, those that have maybe 1 wife or 2 kids are still soliciting to get what to eat from me. So what I believe is that, 1, you plan. You consider your income. When you consider your income, you know, the attitude of Nigerians, when you have 100,000, ask him what is he going to use his money for. The next thing is that he had no plan to buy shoe or any clothes. Just on the way, he saw the shoe seller and immediately just buy a shoe without any plan. So my money is planned for. I had a plan that, okay, this money will be used for my school fee, my kids' school fee. So I had to prepare the school fee even before the time comes.
The clerics admonish different religious adherents to have a proper moral and spiritual planning for the children, for them to live in meaningful life in the society. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Commercial motorcyclists operating in Imo State have continued to lament low patronage triggered by high cost of living following the removal of fuel subsidy in the country. Ajibade Awofeso reports.
Removal of the fuel subsidy by the federal government inflicting hardship on the people is stating the obvious, and Imo State is not an exception. Commercial motorcyclists in the state decry the hiking fuel pump price. They said their transport business is no longer profitable as it used to be, owing to the high cost of fuel. They blame the federal government for sudden removal of the fuel subsidy without creating an effective alternative. Honestly, we are facing lots of problems as motorcyclists. Most times we buy fuel and end up not even gaining back our money. Unlike before, we used to make lots of gain from the little fuel we purchase. The government has brought us into a big problem. As a matter of fact, our family no longer feed well. Life is difficult. All my life, I have never anticipated that fuel will get so high.
Because before we used to buy fuel like 180 naira per liter, 200 naira per liter, but now it's just like 3 times the amount. Because we buy fuel now 620 naira, 615 naira.
Before I'm used 600 naira fuel per day to work, but now almost 3,000, 3,500. Someday, man, I will rest like 4,000 naira to spend for fuel, only for every day.
Dilapidation of the roads is another problem impacting negatively on the business, as motorcycles often get spoiled, requiring a visit to the mechanic workshop to spend almost all the money they have made on repairs.
Seriously, the issue of the bad road really affects our machine, because if you enter that water, you enter bad road, every day you have to go for maintenance, one thing and the other, and spare parts, things we lost, this thing, you enter water every day, shoe break, every day this, the water really affects our machine so much.
The condition of the road are not good at all. We often struggle to navigate through the bad roads most of the time. Even in the water, there are stones and we do fall sometimes.
Seriously, the things affect our machine because every day we are used to take our bike to those mechanics. Firstly, it's affecting us also because if you as the way we drive with this bad road now, tomorrow to wake up is a problem.
At the moment, things are very difficult for them. While they struggle to survive the current hardship, they hope to see a positive change in the situation soonest. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Owerri.
In business, the Naira depreciated against the dollar on Friday as it exchanged at 778.42 Naira at the investors and exporters window. The Naira lost by 0.87% compared to the 771.69 Naira it exchanged for the dollar on Thursday. The open indicative rate closed at 773.29 Naira to the dollar on Friday. A spot exchange rate of 799 plus 90 Naira to the dollar was the highest rate recorded within the day's trading before it settled at 778.42 Naira. The Naira sold for as low as 700 Naira to the dollar within the day's trading. A total of $73.80 million was traded at the investors and exporters window on Friday. The military junta in the Niger Republic has asked the French ambassador in the country, Sylvain Ite, to leave the country within 48 hours. In a statement Friday evening, the junta said the decision follows the ambassador's refusal to respond to an invitation from Niger's minister for a Friday meeting and other actions of the French government contrary to the interest of Niger. The announcement comes after a series of statements and demonstrations hostile towards France since the Nigerian army toppled President Mohamed Bazoum, who has since been held hostage alongside his family in his hitherto palace. The military leaders accuse Paris of wanting to intervene militarily in Niger in order to reinstate Bazoum and claim that the ECOWAS is an organization in the pocket of former regional colonial power France. Regional bloc ECOWAS has imposed heavy economic sanctions on Niger following the coup and has threatened to intervene militarily to restore democratic order in the Sahelian country. On the international scene, at least 13 people, including 7 children, were killed on Friday in a crowd stampede at a stadium in the Madagascan capital, Antananarivo, according to the Red Cross and local member of parliament. The Prime Minister of the Indian Ocean nation, Christian Nse, had initially put the toll at 12 dead and some 80 injured. The stampede occurred at the entrance to the Bareya Stadium, where a crowd of around 50,000 spectators had arrived to attend the opening ceremony of the Indian Ocean Island Games. The cause of the tragedy was not immediately known, but the Red Cross said the toll could climb. Madagascar President Andry Rajoelina, who was present at the opening ceremony, called for a minute's silence. The Indian Ocean Island Games are a multidisciplinary competition being held in Madagascar until September 3rd. And lastly, in sports, the Spanish Football Federation, the RFF, on Saturday threatened to take legal action over Women's World Cup player Jenny Hermoso's lies above her case with its president, Luis Rubiales. The RFF and Rubiales said they would demonstrate each of the lies that have been spread, whether in the name of the player, if that is the case, or by the player herself. Hermoso said on Friday that she did not consent to being kissed on the lips following Spain's World Cup triumph against England, as Rubiales has claimed. The 33-year-old, along with 80 other Spain players, including the entire World Cup winning squad, said they were striking from the national team until the leadership changed. It was a reaction to Rubiales refusing to resign on Friday, despite unprecedented criticism, saying that he was the target of a campaign to get rid of him. In a fiery speech, he said that the kiss was mutual, euphoric, and consensual, and Hermoso had said okay when he asked her if he could give her a peck. However, Hermoso hit back strongly against his claim, saying that she felt vulnerable and the victim of an assault. And with that, we wrap up News Update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms, and you can join our live stream for more news, documentaries, and programs. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.